All right, welcome back to DPL, and we're sitting here with Paul Salfen. And Paul, you got to sit down with the cast from the Divergent series. Tell us about your trip to LA and getting that interview. Great job as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a really, really fun trip because, you know, of course, we're out right in the middle of the madness at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills and talked to the entire cast from this film that's going to, I will put money down, this will be the #1 film of the week. It's already hit records and pre-sales, but the entire cast, Shailene Woodley, Theo James, Miles Teller, Ansel Elgort, and Octavia Spencer, Oscar winner.
Wow,
Octavia Spencer.
I know. What an all-star cast they have there. And part of that series, the new movie coming out is Insurgent.
Correct.
And tell us about that.
Yeah, that's a really, really cool film. And the two main characters, Tris and Four, are on the run in a sort of future Chicago. And the plot is a little bit complicated, and I know if you haven't seen the first one, it'll be a little bit difficult to catch up. I think the stars can do a pretty good job of catching us up.
All right, let's take a look then.
All right. Well, congrats on this film. This is so much fun to see on the big screen, which is where we want everybody to see it, right?
Yeah, totally.
So is it hard for you to get around now? Because, I mean, you're on billboards everywhere and things are kind of nuts.
No, because it feels like work. You know, when I come here, I'm working and talking to you. When I go to those big events where there's a lot of kids or whatnot, like it's work. And then I go home and I live my life, which is very, very different. So, because all of our lives are different once we come home from work. So yeah, no, nothing's really changed.
No one else is gonna die because of you.
You know, I'm just one person. I'm not worth it.
No, you are. I'm worth it. You're more worth it to me.
Well, why do you think we need to see this on the big screen? Why is it important?
Yeah, I think the idea was to definitely, if you do a second movie, you need to make it bigger, and you need to hopefully step it up a notch, really. And I think they've achieved that actually happily. You know, inevitably the scope of it feels bigger, and also what you've kind of done away with is you don't need the setup stuff. So you know the characters, you know the world a little bit, so you can kind of get straight to the fun stuff, essentially.
Well, we always ask people at the moment in their life or their career where they had to go for it and it worked out for them. What do you suppose that was for you?
I don't know if there is one, to be honest. It's funny. I think that happens for some people, but I always say, you know, Shay and I were talking about this, it tends to be, it seems like that would happen, but in fact it tends to be more of a slow burn process where things kind of happen slowly.
Why don't you take your food and sit down, huh?
Or what? Besides, I think we should all stick together now that we're all officially fugitives.
So what's the day, moment, or scene in this film that you think you'll always take with you?
I mean, I loved working with Kate. When we come together and she's like, what kind of position do you want? We're doing this and that. We kind of like riffed on it a couple times, and I got to just like ad-lib with Kate a little bit and try and make her laugh, which was fun because I think she's just such an incredible actress. And
find them. Every last one of them.
Well, I think it's an amazing script that brought us all together. And the fact that it is an action film led by a young actress who embodies so much of the things that young people should, you know, aspire to do and be. And the fact that there's so many strong women associated with the project. But I think what I'll take away from it was the fact that I got to work with such an amazing group of people on a project that I really, really wanted to be a part of.
So this movie had to have been a whole lot of fun to work on. What do you suppose you'll always remember about working on this?
You know, the thing that you always remember about a movie working is the people and the crew and just like the process of doing it. You know, it's not that exciting for the people at home to think about that, but that's what it is for us. It's an experience. You know, you have to cherish the moment, and it's not about, I'm not like doing this because just for watching the final product. I'm doing it to enjoy myself while I do it. So I'll remember the good times on set and stuff.
Now you realize you're making the rest of us guys look bad, right?
Why?
Because you can do music, you can dance, you can act, you know?
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff I can't do.
What can't you do?
To tell you the truth, I really didn't do very well in school. But not because, I mean, sometimes I did, but in certain classes I wouldn't, because I'd be at home and I'd be working on music, or I'd be doing the show, and I was so obsessed with that I didn't, when you're into something, you spend a lot of time doing something, you lose time on other times. I have a few best friends, but I'm not like the most socially out guy, and there is. A lot of time I spend time making music at home, or on set just focusing.
Good for you for doing it. Congrats.
Thanks.
Good
All
to see you again, man.
Good to see
Thank
you.
Wow, that's great stuff, Paul. You always bring this big stuff to Drew Pearson Live. We appreciate having the A-list guests join our show week in and week out. Tell us a little bit about the movie and your opinions of it.
Yeah, in my opinion, this series is really, really interesting. So we're on part 2 of part 3. So you're right in the middle of the series. And like I said, if you haven't started it yet, don't start with this one. I see so many movies a year that this was maybe a few hundred movies ago that I saw the last one last year.
Okay.
So it gets a little confusing. Plus, you've also got a whole series of these sort of, teen films that are Hunger Games, Maze Runner, The Giver. It kind of goes on, and it honestly starts to run a little bit together. However, they brought in a new director for this one, Robert Schwentke, who did Red, and it's really, really fun, and it moves fast, and if you like the series, you're absolutely going to love this one.
So in order to appreciate this one, Insurgent, you need to see the previous parts of the series as well.
Yeah, that would be good. You might be a little bit lost if you don't. They don't exactly go back and tell you what had happened previously. But it's a well-made film, and it moves quickly, and I think people are really, really going to like this one, and they're going to get a chance to see it in 3D and IMAX.
Right on. So I'm going to be one of those persons that has to catch up to appreciate this one, Insurgent, coming up. Good stuff,
and
man.
hey, if you're going to see it at Cinemark.
Cinemark, that's where we get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And as Paul said, you can see Insurgent at a Cinemark near you. Coming up next, Dr. G is in the house, and she's going to tell us how to exercise and how that exercise can benefit our brains. So stay tuned.
Drew Pearson Live is brought to you by Whataburger. The Chicken Strip Monterey Melt is a brand new spin on legendary flavors. Get it while you can at Whataburger.